very much. What a warm welcome. Somebody told me that gathered together today was going to be a group of leaders and public speakers, current and future. People who have decided to take control of their own destiny, to achieve excellence, and to make the world a better place. So the question that I have for you, first question I have, am I in the right place?
Yes.
Don't mess with me now, you're the people they're talking about. All right, well, we're going to have some fun today. In preparation, I was doing a little bit of research. And during my research, I actually stumbled upon a story I'll share with you today. The story is about a young African-American girl from Boston, Massachusetts. Now this little girl, due to her circumstances, through no fault of her own, up until the age of 7 or 8 years old, she couldn't speak a word of English. Couldn't speak a word of English, never was allowed to go to school a day in her life. As fate would have it, her circumstances changed. Some people think for the worse, others for the better. And within 16 months, she joined a new family. And within 16 months, she learned how to speak, how to read, and how to write English at a very high level. She even went on to learn a little bit of Latin, was the first in her family to travel to Europe. And while she was still a teenager, she became a very accomplished poet. Now some of you may actually know who I'm talking about, because the person who I'm talking about her name was Phyllis Wheatley. Who's ever heard of Phyllis Wheatley? Give me a hand. Very good. You'd be amazed how sometimes I ask that question and someone says, ooh. Phyllis Wheatley. Now when I said her name was Phyllis, and I said that she was from Boston, that wasn't completely the truth. What I should have said was her given slave name was Phyllis, and that she was born on the west coast of Africa over 350 years ago, somewhere near a country called Senegal, somewhere around 1754. 1754. Now Phyllis, when she was 7 or 8 years old, she was kidnapped and or sold into slavery. She was transported from Africa across the ocean in a slave ship to America. Soon after her arrival, she was purchased like a piece of property by a man named John Wheatley. Now as slave owners go, I guess some could say the Wheatleys weren't too bad. At least the way they treated this one particular slave, and the education and the opportunities that they gave her. But make no mistake, this story does not have a happy ending, because Phyllis led a short and difficult life. She died about the age of 30. She died in poverty and surrounded by strangers. A couple of weeks ago, I stumbled upon one of her poems I will share with you today. It touched my heart. It gives me a little better understanding of who she was, the outlook that she had on life, despite being stolen away from her family, from her community, from her country, from her culture, the way that she looked on life, and the amazing gift that she had, and the lessons we may be able to learn. The poem has no title. It goes something like this. "'Twas mercy brought me from my pagan land, taught my benighted soul to understand that there's a God, that there's a Savior too. Once I redemption neither sought nor knew. Some view our sable race with scornful eye. Their color is a diabolical dye. Remember, Christians, Negroes black as Cain, may be refined and join thy angelic train." Now some people might say or think that Phyllis lived and died in vain. I don't believe that at all. Especially now that we know her story, at least a little bit about it. And now that we have the opportunity, the obligation to share and live the lessons that we learned. So my question for you this morning is, what can we learn from Phyllis Wheatley? That it's possible. Proof. Some people have told us, I'm sure our parents and family and church, they've told us that you can achieve anything. We may or may not believe that until there's proof. Phyllis Wheatley proved what was possible. Despite her race, despite her gender, despite her situation, she proved that it's possible. How is it then that year after year, decade after decade, century after century, we allow people to tell us what isn't possible? And worse, we look in the mirror and tell ourselves sometimes that it's not possible, don't we? But if we realize the potential we have, then she did not live and die in vain. So if I share something with you to help you achieve those goals, and you believe in your heart that it will actually work. I don't want you to try anything you don't believe. That's on me. But if you believe it'll help, it'll work, who will agree to at least try it once out there in the real world? Help me out. All right. Then I may continue.